Welcome to the CFL Football Show for week number 3 of the Canadian Football League. I'm your host, Ron Raymond, a 5-time sports handicap champion based out of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. You are watching the CFL Football Show, which is broadcast every Thursday until the end of August. And then once August comes, we'll do a CFL Football Show on Wednesday, the College Football Show on Thursday, and the NFL Show on Friday. And you can see it always here on our YouTube channel, or if you missed the replay, you can always catch it here on the YouTube or on our website, atsstats.com. All right, good afternoon, good evening, and hope you're having yourself a good start to your day, and hopefully you enjoyed week number 2 of the Canadian Football League. In fact, we'll go through all the matchups here, and before we do, don't forget, if you are new to the Raymond Report, the Raymond Report is a sports handicapping website based on the Raymond Report fundamentals of sports handicapping, which is always based around value, percentage play, performance cycles, player availability, and we use a strict money management system. You can come learn more about the Raymond Report today at atsstats.com. Or if you want to check out my book, the 24-Hour Rule, Embracing Patience and Discipline in Sports Betting, and how to learn to celebrate your victories. And you can get this book today here at the website, or you can go to amazon.com or .ca, order a copy. Come learn about some of the rules of sports handicapping, and also in the chapters, the art of value betting, the power of trends and systems, the daily market value index, the type of teams you see in sports leagues, A, B, and C type teams, betting on different types of sports, how you approach those sports, and the strength of schedule, one of my biggest one and one of my favorite chapters in the book, the 24-Hour Rule, and you can get it today at atsstats.com, and just click on order your copy. It's going to take you to Amazon, and you can get that book today here at the website. All right, let's get into the show for CFL week number 3. And before we do, let's recap last week in the Canadian Football League and see who's who in the zoo and how they did. And we'll kick it off on the game between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Hamilton Tigercats. In fact, you know what? Let's go backwards. Let's go to the game between the Ottawa Redblacks and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That was your Thursday night game. It got a little rain delay. There was a thunderstorm here in the nation's capital, and it was delayed for about an hour. And it's good for Ottawa, bad for Winnipeg, because Winnipeg had a little bit of momentum going into that game. But at the end of the night, the Ottawa Redblacks did win that game. 23-19 was the final. In total yards, Ottawa had 346 yards in offense to Winnipeg's 311. Passing yards, Drew Brown passed for over 238 yards, 1 touchdown, and Winnipeg, Zach Caleros, former Bearcat of Cincinnati, had 285 yards passing, 2 INTs, which is costly. And you can see here, rushing yards, Ottawa had 129 rushing yards, and Raquel Armstead rushed for 95 yards. And last week, we had a question, would there be 200-yard rushers? And that's the one thing I'm going to talk about today. The lack of the rushing game, the running game in the CFL. Obviously, it's a 3-down league, so you're going to get more passing. But you can see that it's a very heavy passing-oriented league. So and once teams start to understand you need a little bit of balance, you're going to see those teams do a little bit better once they find a way to run the football. For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they only rushed for 42 yards. And you know how much pressure you're putting on your quarterbacks when you can only rush for 42 yards? And so that's a big thing for the CFL. Now, notable moments in that game, Ottawa had a balanced attack on a strong rushing game and helped control the clock, right? At the end of the day, as you guys know, I coach football, and I tell our team all this. I tell them all the time. You throw to score, you run to win. And when you can run the football in any league, it could be college, it could be university, it could be the CFL, NFL, any league. When you throw to score and you run to win. And when you run the football, you will be able to win. Ottawa 1-0 in a year, had a bye week in week number 1. And now Winnipeg 0-2. When was the last time we saw a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team start the season 0-2? But they got some home cooking this weekend against the let me see, who's Winnipeg playing this weekend? They are playing the BC Lions. Yeah, they're going to play Vernon Adams and the BC Lions. All right, Montreal and Edmonton. You know what? Wasn't the prettiest win for the defending Grey Cup champions, but the Montreal Alouettes went into Commonwealth Stadium, got a 23-20 win. They racked up 371 yards on offense compared to 357 for the Edmonton Elks. And McLeod Bethel Thompson, former Argonaut, threw for over 300 yards in that game, 2 INTs. And player I coached many moons ago, Curly Gittens Jr., he had 93 receiving yards. And I think he's happy to be teamed up with his old quarterback again, McLeod Bethel Thompson, because one thing with Curly last year, he got lost in the shuffle with Chad Kelly and company in Toronto. And maybe it was a good thing for Curly to get out of Toronto. And now, in first 2 games for the Edmonton Elks, he's been a big target for the Edmonton Elks. Now, Montreal did win that game 23-20. Cody Fajardo, former Nevada Wolfpack quarterback, threw for only 269 yards. What's par for the course in the CFL is 300 yards passing, right? And he's only throwing for 269 yards last week. 2 touchdowns. Walter Fletcher rushed for 82 yards. In fact, Montreal averaged 116 yards on the ground to Edmonton 72. So you see where the teams that, there's a common trend that's happening, right? A pattern. Teams that don't run the football tend to lose the football game. So Edmonton only rushing for 72 yards, and now they are 0-2 in the year, where Montreal is 2-0, and they're facing the Ottawa Redblacks this weekend, tonight, in fact, at Percival Molson Stadium. All right, the BC Lions took care of business last week. Got a little slow started, but 50 Cents kicked off that game, that pregame in BC last week, and got the crowd going. But needed the fourth quarter to mount the comeback, and they did win 26-17. The Calgary Stampeders, even though they lost, they outrushed and outpassed the BC Lions on offense. They had 379 yards on offense compared to 362 for the BC Lions. And in passing yards, Calgary had 318 yards. Jake Mayer passed for 339 yards. 2 touchdowns, Y&T. Dedrick Mills had 99 receiving yards for the Calgary Stampeders, where Vern Adams Jr., former Oregon Ducks quarterback, former Montreal Alouette quarterback, threw for 277 yards. 2 touchdowns. Alexander Hollins pulled in 97 yards, receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and the BC Lions sealed the game in the fourth quarter with a strong performance, holding Calgary scoreless in the fourth quarter. And Calgary looked like they were in control of that game, but that's why they play 4 quarters, right? And again, look at that. The team, Calgary, 61 yards rushing, BC 85. So you see the trend that happens right here. If you look at the first couple of games, Ottawa rushed for 129 yards, got the win. You see at Montreal rushed for 116 yards, got the win. BC rushed for 85 yards, even though they didn't crack the 100 mark, they got the win. And that's the thing you throw the score, you run the win. And if you don't run the football in the CFL, you are going to have a long season. And the final game of the weekend, the Sunday night football game of the week, was the game between the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the now 2-0 Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Hamilton Tigercats on the losing end again. They lost in Calgary week 1. Now they lost last week 33-30. And total yards, 400 yards in offense for Saskatchewan and 410 yards for the Hamilton Tigercats. Now look at the rushing yards for both these teams. But again, even though it's only 3 yards difference, Saskatchewan rushed for 33 yards. Man, that's like some teams do that on a series. Hey, and for the Hamilton Tigercats only rushed for 30 yards. And but the passing yards was big. 367 yards passing for Trevor Harris compared to 380 for Bo Levi Mitchell. Bo Levi threw for 3 touchdowns, 1 INT at the end. It wasn't really his fault. The receiver just he bobbled it and then he fell to the ground and it came up, and Johnny on the spot for Saskatchewan just picked it up, and then they kicked the field goal, right? Trevor Harris, 390 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Kean Schaefer-Baker, 109 yards receiving yards. And so Corey Mace and the Saskatchewan Roughriders 2-0 in the season, and I know that's going to make the Saskatchewan Roughriders faithful in Riderville very happy. Yeah, there's Jerry Davis. Good morning, Jerry. Welcome to the CFL Football Show. Take a little break there in Major League Baseball show. Normally do the baseball show Monday to Friday, but now that football's here, we got to share the love in the sports handicapping world. All right. That's your recap in week number 2 of the Canadian Football League. Let's take a look at the markets. And as we do in the baseball show, we go to the opening bell. And you know what? If you are following CFL football, the Canadian Football League, man, the underdogs are just having a field day. And as our good friend Norm Peterson would have said,
it's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Yeah, milk-bone underwear, because the favorites, look at that. The favorites in week number 1 didn't win a game. In week number 2 was 2-2. And on the season, you can see the favorites have only won 25% of the games, where the underdogs have covered 87.5% of the Canadian Football League games. Here it is. Favorites 2-6 on the year, 1-7 against the number, 4-4 when it comes to the over/under. Underdogs 6-2, 7-1 against the point spread. So you know what? The underdog, the bookmakers are trying to. We'll see if they'll catch up here in week number 3, because the favorites, perception versus reality, and the perception is don't fall in love with favorites in the CFL. Because they'll, like an old high school sweetheart, they're going to break your heart. I would expect some big time regression. Yeah, I would expect that too. We'll see if the bookmakers come back with their lines this week. But we got some. Yeah, you know what? We do have some heavy favorites this week. And in fact, they're all home favorites this year. This week in week number 3 of the Canadian Football League. So we'll see if the home chalk chalks it up this weekend. And let's see if there's anything of noticeable that in the ranges. Not really. We're still young in the season, and when you only play 4 games a week, you're not going to get a lot of data in the CFL. Now, let's take a look at the passing leaders. You see, courtesy of CFL.ca. You can go to the website to get all the stats. Trevor Harris, 695 yards through the first 3 weeks of the Canadian Football League. Bo Levi Mitchell, former Calgary Stampeder quarterback, has 680. And what you're noticing right now are veteran quarterbacks. And the CFL is a quarterback-driven league. And if you can get a veteran quarterback, you're going to go a long way. And just look at the passing yards right now, right? You got Adams Jr., Vernon Adams Jr. Throwing for 640 yards. You know, he's really in his, 5th or 6th year in the CFL. He's coming into his own. McLeod Bethel Thompson took a year off, went to the USFL in New Orleans, came back, and he's just he hasn't missed a beat, 636 yards. Jake Mayer starting to come in his own. Looks like he's in good shape this year, Jake Mayer is. 591 yards. Cody Fajardo has been in the league a while now. He's been in Saskatchewan. And now Montreal. Zach Caleros, the veteran. Winnipeg hasn't gotten it going yet, right? 494 yards. Cameron Dukes taking over Toronto for Chad Kelly, who was suspended at the beginning of the year. And Drew Brown, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, only 230 yards, 8 yards in game number 1, but lucky enough to get a good running game to help him. So those are your passing leaders. You can see Trevor Harris has 5 touchdown passes this year. Cody Fajardo has 4, along with Jake Mayer and Vernon Adams Jr. and Bo Levi Mitchell. Your rushing leader is former BC Lions running back James Butler, has 146 yards. Dedrick Mills has 133. Walter Fletcher has 118, and William Stanbeck, former Montreal Alouette, he has 104. So through week 3, there's only 4 running backs in the CFL with 100 yards rushing. So as you can see, the CFL needs more rushing. I guess you can say in the game, play calling in the game, because right now it's too heavy, passing heavy oriented, and it's really hurting some of these teams not getting the W, because you're putting a lot of pressure on your quarterbacks if you cannot throw the football. Receiving yards, Justin McInnes has 194 yards in BC. Jarrett Stearns has 193 with Saskatchewan, and Tyson Philpott, the son of Corey Philpott, who used to be a running back in the CFL, has 190 yards. Rushing touchdown, Johnny Augustine, I believe, was it Guelph? He played Canadian University at Guelph. And Dakota Prukop is number 2. When you got a backup quarterback who comes in for quarterback sneaks, that's what it tells you about the rushing game in the CFL. And only one receiver with 3 receptions is Sean Bain Jr. With 3 touchdown receptions. And Curly Gittin Jr. leading the league with Alexander Hollins with 16 reception caught. And Curly gonna go and haunt his old teammates this weekend in Toronto. All right, there you have it. Those are some of the numbers going into week number 3. And let's take a look at the week number 1 matchup between the Montreal Alouettes and the Ottawa Redblacks. It's a passing league, but if you can complement with the run, you have a potential to win big games. Oh, absolutely. And that's that's one thing we're noticing right now in the CFL. There's a lack of a running game, and it's putting so much pressure on the quarterbacks that defense are just, all they're going to do is rush 3. If you're not successful in first down, let's say in first down you throw a pass and it's incomplete, or even if you get a penalty and you get like a 2nd and long or 1st and 10, all the defense needs to do is go into cover 2 shell in coverage, rush 3, maybe 4, and just take away all the deep stuff and just give you the short stuff, and they rally down. Then it really puts the offense in a tough bind, right? All right, so Montreal is going to be a 6.5 point favorite tonight against the Ottawa Redblacks, who won last week against the BC Lions 23-19, and the Montreal Alouettes won in Edmonton, and that final score was 23-20. They won, but they didn't cover the spread. And so far in the year, Montreal 2-0 on the campaign, 1-1 ATS, 0-2 to the under, while the Ottawa Redblacks 1-0 in the year, 1-0 against the point spread, and 0-1 when it comes to the under. And when Ottawa travels to Montreal, they are 7-3 straight up, 9-1 against the number, 2-8 to the over/under, and you can see the overall in the head-to-head matchup. The Montreal Alouettes does have the advantage here, 7-3, 6-4 ATS, and 3-7 to the under. Now, Montreal playing on 5 days rest, so we'll see if that's going to have anything to do with tonight's matchup. The thing they played last Friday, and now they're playing again. So, 5 days rest is not too bad. You see it all the time in the NFL where teams playing those Thursday night games. But I do have some numbers on the teams that play on Thursday nights do have quite the advantage. In fact, if you look here, the last, I believe it's the last 3 years, the last 3 seasons, the road team is 20-7 against the number on CFL Thursday night football games. So Ottawa Redblacks do have a little bit of history backing them up tonight. 20-7 against the point spread. In fact, let me don't show them, don't tell them, just show them. So let's do away teams. Last 3 years playing on Thursday nights, and let's go get the. Oh, I'm in the NFL here. I got to go to the. Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. NFL's not here yet. It's coming though. All right, so road teams, and we're looking at the last 3 years in CFL playing on a Thursday night, on a Thursday. And where's my Thursdays? Wait, come on, where's Thursdays? Oh, there we go. Thursdays, last 3 years. 20-7 ATS, so that's a pretty good number. 15-12, so you can see the history is backing up the Ottawa Redblacks tonight. But you know what? Looking at this game now, these two teams played in the preseason. Ottawa did win that game, but preseason nobody shows a lot of anything, and Montreal didn't bring a lot of players. So I think we're going to get a different Montreal team here tonight, and it's the home opener. They won the Grey Cup last year. They'll probably have a sellout. It's going to be a tough spot. The thing I don't like with the Ottawa Redblacks here is that last week they didn't throw for a lot of yards on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They threw for 217 yards, right? And if you look at every other team throwing for over, let me see here, 318, 367. Montreal didn't throw a lot either, 255, but they did have a good balance attack with the running game. So that's the only thing I'm a little concerned. I'm not going to go crazy, but I live in Ottawa. I know this team. We've had tough seasons the last few years. And, going to Montreal, playing a division opponent, it's not going to be easy. Last time these two teams met was October 9th. It was a 29-3 victory in Montreal. And I'm leaning more of this game as a low-scoring affair. I'm seeing, let me see, what do I have on my forecast right here? On the forecast, I have 26-22. The over-under landing on 49.12. I don't think it's going to be that high-scoring affair. I'm looking more of a 25-17 type game. 25-17 Montreal. And if I'm going to play this game here tonight, I'm going to go the under of, what's the total? I believe it's 47.5. I'm going to go under the total, and I'm going to show you some team systems that I have here. And before I do that, let me see if I got some trends to show you on the Rain Report Lite version. And yeah, so we do. If you like Ottawa, I do have a team system trend on those on the road teams that playing on Thursdays. Thursday games, 20-7 for the road teams. If CFL road teams playing on Thursday, coming off an ATS win in their last game, they scored between 21 and 24 points for, and they won 24-19. And they're coming off a game where they, so they scored 21 points or more. 9-2-1 against the number, but I think the under is where you want to lean. When Montreal is a home favorite, coming off back-to-back road wins, 3-10 to the under. And I'm going to show you a nice system here in the CFL, and it's going to be like this. Anytime you got a road underdog in the CFL, playing an opponent with a 2-0 record. So Montreal is 2-0 on the season. All right, so you're playing an opponent with a 2-0 record, and without road dog. Oh, week 1 to 4. Yep, there we go. Week 1 to 4. All right, so here's the system. Anytime you got a road underdog like Ottawa, who's facing a team that starts the year 2-0, and it's week 1 to week 4 of the season, look at the under. 7-21-2. And the 7-21-1 straight up. So Ottawa's in for a tough fight here tonight. But I'm going to play this one under the total. And I do have a system on the under in the Montreal game. And let me go back right here to my database. And anytime you got a home favorite of 3.5 to 6, like Montreal is tonight, and they're coming off a game where they scored between 21 and 24 points for, and Montreal scored what, 23 last week against Edmonton. So let me do this, and it's the total is 46 to 49.5. Where's the total? 46 to 49. The under is 3-10. All right, so I got some good numbers, and we got a little bit of history backing us up here. So let's go Montreal, Ottawa, under 47.5 tonight in Montreal, and let's see if we can get that W. All right, let's go to your next game, and let's take a look at the game between the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last week coming off a tough loss to Ottawa, 23-19. In week number 1, they lost to Montreal 27-12. That game was never even close. Montreal from gate to wire did a very good job, dominating that game with their defense. And for the BC Lions, they're coming off a 26-17 win last week to the Calgary Stampeders at home in front of a sold-out crowd. And for the Lions in week number 1, they played the Toronto Argonauts, who really surprised me. I thought Toronto, with the fire sale they had in the offseason, weren't going to be that competitive, but they were. And what really impressed me with the Argonauts is their front four. Their defensive line was outstanding. They won that game 35-27. But going back to this game here between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions, when was the last time you saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? And keep in mind, the Bombers are a favorite to win the Grey Cup this year. I don't know what the latest odds is. I know at the beginning of the year they were favorite, but they're 0-2 to start the campaign, 0-2 against the point spread, and 0-2 to the under. My line on the game, I had the Bombers at -8. You can see their chance of winning at 57.1% compared to 51.8% for the BC Lions. And looking at some of the other numbers, anytime BC's at home against a team with a 50 to 59.9 win percentage, they are 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the number, 4-0 to the over-under. And looking at the history between these two teams, anytime the Winnipeg Blue Bombers face the BC Lions, home or away, they are 8-2 straight up, 8-2 against the point spread, 5-5 when it comes to the over-under. While the BC Lions, they are 2-8 in their last 10 visits to Winnipeg Stadium, and 7-1 against the number. And you know what? I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 2 tough games right out of the gate, right? They go to Ottawa and they lose that one 23-19. I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers win this one here straight up. I'm going to take the Winnipeg Blue Bombers straight up here tonight, and I'm going to give you some numbers on why I like the Bombers to win. All right, so against division opponents, the last 3 years, they're 14-5 straight up. They're 9-1 on Friday night games, 19-10 against the point spread. And here's another number that was pretty impressive. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the last 5 years at home as a favorite, they are 52. Where's that number I had here? Winnipeg Blue Bombers, last 5 years, 32-5. Check this out. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, let me go to my CFL stand right here. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, as a home favorite, the last 5 seasons, survey says 32-5. 25-12-0 against the point spread, 14-23 to the under. And I don't see Mike O'Shea and the Zach Larelson company going 0-3 on the campaign. And the BC Lions, to be honest, it's the defense that worries me for the Lions. They're in week 1, they got a little bit exposed on the offensive line. I thought the Argonauts D-line really manhandled the offensive line. But, Winnipeg, they're an older team now, so their offensive line is not as good as it used to be in the past. So we'll see if the BC Lions front four can bring pressure on Zach Collaros this Friday night. But I still like the BC Lions, and I'm going to show you another system that I have here. In fact, I might have a couple of systems to show you guys on the BC Lions. Let me go to my the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I might have a couple here on BC. I'll have some trends for you guys at the end here. The BC Lions 8-3 as a road team, coming off a home win the last 3 years. But look at this, the Bombers. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are 20-1 straight up as a home team versus Western Conference opponents the last 5 seasons. And here's another team system I want to show you guys. Anytime you got a home favorite like the BC Lions, all right, and they're coming off 2 ATS losses. They lost to Montreal and Ottawa. And you know what? They're coming off 2 Eastern Conference opponent. That's something I just realized right now. But 2 ATS losses. And what's the other? And 2 unders. And they're coming off 2 unders. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming off 2 ATS losses, 2 unders. And let's see, since 1996, the home team is 20-6 straight up. So going back to 1996, that's how far our CFL database goes. Anytime you got a home favorite coming off 2 ATS losses and they're coming off 2 unders, the home team is 20-6 straight up. And I got a feeling that Winnipeg, probably it wasn't a fun week of practice, because anytime you haven't got your first win of the season, you're probably gripping a bit in the week. You know, meetings are not as fun. Everybody's on edge, but you get that first W, and things get back to a little bit normal. So I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the team to beat this weekend. And what did I have here? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to show you a go-against system on the BC Lions. I'm just not sold on this Lions team right now. You know, like they went to Toronto, lost. Their game against the Calgary Stampeders, they didn't look good for the first half, and then they must have seen something in the secondary for the second half, because they only really won that game in the fourth quarter. So the BC Lions haven't really put together a full game yet this season. And I still have a question mark on that defense in BC. And here's the system: road teams. All right, so let's do this. Road underdogs in the CFL, coming off a 8 to 10 point win. All right, so road teams coming off an 8 to 10 point win. One sec, my wife's phone's going off. Your phone. Here. All right, sorry about that. Anyways, underdogs coming off a 8 to 10 point win, coming off 2 unders. Let's take a look at the record right now. 4-8 straight up. Not a great record, right? But let me see here. Oh, 1 under. Sorry, coming off 1 under, not 2. Coming off 1 under. Coming off 1 under. 5-20 straight up. Yeah, so that's not a good record for the BC Lions. So anytime you got a road underdog coming off an 8 to 10 point win, and they're coming off an under, 5-20. So that's a go against the BC Lions. So give me the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now this line, keep in mind, opened up at 1.5, and it's now up to 3. So this line went up to 3. So I'm going to take a Winnipeg minus Winnipeg on the money line. Winnipeg on the money line, and let's see what the bookmakers have here on the money line. So this one here doesn't have a line. So you're looking at about maybe 180 as a money line. Let me check another sports book right now. Let me go here. Let me go to FanDuel. You know, they do have the line. And I know the website too, the CFL website. If you go to the front page, I know they have the odds now on the front page. But let me see here. What's the money line? All right, let me go to football. CFL. Winnipeg money line. Oh, 134. Yeah, give me a dozen of those, please. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the Winnipeg Blue Bombers money line minus 134. So buy that Geico insurance, and I wouldn't lay the 2.5. Just pay the extra money and get the minus 134. All right, let's go to your next game. Game number 3. This will be this Saturday. I believe it's an afternoon game in Toronto at BMO Field, where the Edmonton Elks are going to host. Edmonton Elks are going to face off against the Toronto Argonauts, and the Argos a 5.5 point favorite. Total in that game is at 49.5. The computer pick does like Toronto to win 26-23. So we got the Argos winning by a field goal this Saturday night in Toronto. Yeah, it's a night game, not an afternoon. 7 p.m. kickoff. And we got the total landing right there on 49.5, right there with the bookmakers line. Edmonton 0-2 on the year. Chris Jones must be, saying, here we go again type thing. And for the Toronto Argonauts, Ryan Dinwiddie, the head coach, off to a 1-0 start. Had a bye last week, so the Argonauts didn't play in week number 2. And I had them listed at minus 6.6 on my value index and had plus 9 for Edmonton. But you know what? I kind of like the fact that they've secured their quarterback position with McLeod Bethel Thompson, former Toronto Argonaut, and he's going to go back to his old haunting grounds and a place he's very familiar with the field and everything. So he probably knows a little thing about that stadium. And, one thing with Toronto, they don't get great crowds in Toronto for some reason. They're probably all at the Blue Jay game or something. I don't know. But Toronto at home against C-type teams, last 10 games, 8-2 straight up, 7-3 against the number. But when I look at the Edmonton Elks, only 4-6 straight up in Toronto last 10, 6-4 against the number. And for the the Edmonton Elks, the one thing I was doing a little bit of research this morning, you believe the Edmonton, their worst nightmare is playing at home. If you look at the Edmonton Elks home record, say the last, let's go the last 4 years. Edmonton Elks home record last 4 years, 2-25. They are 2-25 at Commonwealth Stadium, but once they hit the road, they tend to play a little bit better. 9-16, but 15-10-0 against the point spread. So for some reason, the Edmonton Elks tend to play better on the road. And when you look at their passing game last week, the Edmonton Elks, you can see that McLeod Bethel Thompson threw for 300 yards. He also threw well in game number 1. Curly Gittins had a big day, 93 yards, leading the league in receptions. I believe he's tied. And I'm gonna go with Edmonton here. I think Edmonton getting 5.5. Toronto beat a BC team that I still have a question mark. And Edmonton, who do they play right now? They played Montreal, and they played the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They lost by 8 to the Roughriders, a very good team, and then they lost to a very good Montreal Alouette team. I think Edmonton can win here and maybe surprise a lot of people and get the victory. I'm going to go Edmonton plus the points this weekend in Toronto, plus 5.5, and hopefully you can take that to the bank. But I'm going to go the Elks this weekend, and let's see if we can go get that W. All right, let me see here. Do I have anything else? Oh, yeah, I do have one system I want to show you on Edmonton. Let me go here. Mine is 150 and 250 on the spread, says Jerry Davis. On the money line for Winnipeg. Is that it, Jerry? Okay, so Edmonton, here's this. Here's a nice little system on the Edmonton Elks. Anytime you got a road underdog like Edmonton, all right, and they're coming off a 0 to 3 point loss. All right, so Edmonton coming off a 0 to 3 point loss. And what else do I got here? And they allowed 21 to 24 points against in their last game. Let's see what prior CFL teams did to with this situation here. All right, where's my coming off situation here? I gotta go down lower. All right, here it is. All right, so 21 to 24 points. All right, so here's the system. Now, if you're new to sports handicapping and you're wondering, what's a system? What are you talking about, a system? A system is like a team trend. I'll show you a team trend. This is a good way to show you right here. Where's my... So you see this, BC Lions, they're 8-3 as a road team coming off a home win as a favorite. That's a team trend. A system trend is when any football team is in that situation, right? So let me see if there's I'll come back to this in 1 second. So when any road underdogs in the CFL going back to 1996 are coming off a 0 to 3 point loss, and Edmonton lost 23-20 last week to Montreal, and they allowed between 21 and 24 points against, that road underdog is 16-7-1 in the CFL. So that tells me Edmonton plus the points is where we're going to lean. But the little thing I'm a little concerned though, and as we said at the top of the show, it's been a favorable record for the underdogs through the first 2 weeks, right? 87.5 of the underdogs have won in week number 1 and 2. So that's my little concern, but that's okay though. I'm going to go with the Elks here. I like Edmonton getting the points. And if you like the under in that game, anytime the Edmonton Elks are a road team playing the month of June, and since 1996, 13-3 to the under, and the Argos as a home team, last 2 years, 12-1. So Toronto does enjoy some home cooking, but we'll see if we can get Edmonton rolling this week. And I got a feeling that Curly Giddens going to have a big day here in Toronto. And let's go Edmonton plus 5.5 against the Toronto Argonauts. All right, your last game on the board. That's the thing about the CFL. There's only 4 games, and it's a rematch from last Sunday night's game of the week between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Hamilton Tigercats. Now, the Green Riders, Riderville's very happy right now. They're 2-0 in the campaign, while the Tigercats, they're trying to find that first win for their new head coach, Scott Milanovic. And they're 0-2 now on the year. 0-2 against the point spread, 2-0 to the over. And the one thing with Hamilton, they got to find a running game. If you look at last week, and in fact, Saskatchewan too, both these teams didn't run for a lot last week. It was embarrassing. 30 yards for Hamilton. Like I said, normally you do that on a series, right? When the offense goes on for the opening series, normally you can get maybe 30 yards on a good run. 33 for Saskatchewan. So that's going to have to change if they want to make win more football games, because you can't put that much pressure on 2 veteran quarterbacks. And when you put that much pressure on your quarterbacks, especially an older quarterback like Trevor Harris and Bo Levi Mitchell, Bo Levi coming off an injury, and you're really you're playing with fire right now. So if I'm the Toronto Argonauts, the Hamilton Tigercats and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, go out and find yourself a running game, because the quarterback's best friend is the running game. And in the CFL, especially if you get a day that rains, or you get to the month of October, November, it starts to get cold and snowing. Yeah, you better get that running game going. All right, so looking at last week, a big win. You know what? This was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. Every CFL game has been very competitive this year. When you look at the final scores of each game, I don't even think there's been a blowout. You look at every score last weekend: 33-30, 23-20, 26-17, and 23-19. So if you love close games, the CFL first couple of weeks have been very entertaining. And Saskatchewan 2-0, and this is their first home game of the season. And the computer pick does like another close contest here. 26.7 for Saskatchewan, 26.4 for the Hamilton Tigercats. And I had the line at minus 5.25 for the Green Riders. 57.8% chance of winning compared to 50 for the Hamilton Tigercats. And Hamilton, let me see here. The one thing I want to show you guys also was the scoring averages. One thing I like to track is the team offense and defense, right? So if I go to my CFL and I look at the matchups right here, the Hamilton Tigercats are scoring 27 points per game. Saskatchewan's scoring 31, but Hamilton giving up a league-leading 32.5 points against per game, right? So you can't be giving up that many points on defense. So to me, that's the biggest question mark in Hamilton, is giving up a lot of points against, right? And looking at the history between these two teams, the Hamilton Tigercats don't do really good at Mosaic Stadium. They're 2-8 at Mosaic, 2-8 against the point spread, 3-7 to the under, and that's where I'm leaning in this game. I think Saskatchewan, with the home crowd going to be behind them, you're going to get a lot of momentum in the early going in the first quarter. But this could get now. I won't say it'll get ugly, but I think we're going to get a low scoring affair. I think this one goes here under the total of 50.5, and let me see if I got anything to back this up here on the trends. If you look at the last time these two teams met was last June 16th of last week. But last year it was October 7th, and that game was in Hamilton, was 38-13. The last time these two teams played in Saskatchewan, it was that game last October 7th. It was 38-13 for the Hamilton Tigercats. So maybe a little revenge here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And we'll see with based on last week's performance of 33-30 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I think we might have a little bit of a different type game. And the one thing is, when you've played a team just in back-to-back games, now you know the type of defense they have, what they do well on offense, and now you can scheme a little bit better for the coordinators. So I think you're going to get a low-scoring affair this weekend in Hamilton, and I do have some numbers to back that up. And let me go to my database again, and let me go and get the home favorites. All right, let's go to home favorites, which Saskatchewan is a home favorite of 2.5, and some places you might see 3. And let me see. So on a 2-game win streak. So home favorites in the CFL on a 2-game winning streak. And it's week 1 to week 4 in the Canadian Football League. Let's go see what the record says. Week 1 to week 4. It's up here somewhere. There it is. Oh, there it is. Survey says 8-26-2 to the under. Home team is 27-8-1, so that's good for Saskatchewan. Not really good against the point spread, 15-21-0. But look at the under, 8-26-2 to the under. Give me the Saskatchewan Hamilton Tigercats under the total. And the fact these two teams just played each other tells me that it's like reading tomorrow's newspaper, right? They know what they do on offense and defense. And let me see if I got any system trends from the Rain Report Light version to back up more of the underplay. And let me see. Yeah, we do, actually. We got a couple systems. Look at that. Anytime you get a home team after a non-division game, and it's week 1 to week 4, they allow 30 points or less against, and they're coming off 2 ATS wins, 12-3 to the under. So, again, let's go Hamilton Tigercats, Saskatchewan Roughriders, under the total. You got 2 veteran quarterbacks here, so that's always a little bit of a concern because Trevor Harris is leading the league along with Bo Levi Mitchell in what did I say at the beginning of the yards, passing yards. So you got 2 very veteran-led quarterback teams. So it could, but again, because they played last week, they know the playbooks, they know the plays. It all depends on what the coordinators are going to scheme up this week, how they're going to show a different wrinkle in the offense, and maybe the blitzes, a couple of different stunts on the defensive line, maybe some coverage looks that are be a little bit different. But we'll see what happens this week in Saskatchewan. All right, a little recap. Let's go to the computer picks. And again, if you ever want to get the this database, or if you want the CFL reports, you can go to the website. There's not too many websites. Think about this: how many sites out there that cover the CFL on a point spread view? Right, a lot of it's fantasy, but we here at ATS Stats we focus on point spread, right? And I've had this database since 1996. If you look, you can go back to 1996 and look up any thing you want. Like, say for example, if you look at tonight, the Ottawa Redblacks. So the Ottawa Redblacks, an away underdog. All right, today is what week? Today is week 3 in the Canadian Football League. So if you ever, and Ottawa, remember they had some seasons they didn't exist within the Renegades and all that stuff. Hey, Ottawa, and I'll do Montreal in a bit. So Ottawa as an underdog in week number 3. Going back to 1996, 0-6 straight up. That's not good. That's not good for Ottawa fans like myself, especially I'm wearing my Ottawa Redblacks hat tonight. And home favorites, Montreal is a home favorite during week 3, going back to 1996. Not good against the point spread, 2-8-1, 7-4 straight up, 6-5 when it comes to the over-under. So that's the stuff you get here with the website. But just a little recap. So tonight, Ottawa, Montreal, I'm going to take the under 47.5. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions on Friday night's football game of the week. I'm going to go Winnipeg straight up. Toronto, Edmonton, I'm going to take the Elks plus 5.5. And I'm going to go under the total, 50.5 between Saskatchewan and Hamilton. And hopefully you guys cash in with those selections. All right, before we go, we have a little thing called the Allen Iverson 80% Club Stats.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Practice, man. I mean, how silly is that?
Yeah, there's Good Morning Greek Man 581. Yeah, I guess today is in the huddle, not in the bullpen. Yeah, you're in the huddle today. That's it. You know what? That's a good, that's what I'm going to call the, that's a Greek Man. You just, that's a great idea. So every time we do our YouTube channel, we have these chat box where we say, in baseball we call it the bullpen, but like Greek Man says, yeah, this will be called the huddle. So I'll see what people say in the huddle. Sorry, they want me to work or something for my pay. See you tomorrow, says Jerry Davis. All right, Jerry, have yourself a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back in the bullpen tomorrow, Jerry, on a Friday baseball show. All right, let's go to CFL. And let's go to the old 80% Club Stats, brought to you by the Rain Report. Folks, again, you can get the Rain Report each and every day right here at atsstats.com. It's only $4.99 for the week, $19.99 for the month. And you get a full year membership for only $99. That's less than a penny a day. or I don't know, penny a day or $1 a day, not penny, but $1 a day. And you get great information. All right, so Edmonton as a road underdog against Toronto going back to 1996, 13-3-1. 13-3-1 against the number. Ottawa is a road team in the month of June, 8-2 against the point spread. Winnipeg Blue Bombers home or away when the spread's a pick 'em to +3.5, either minus or underdog. They are 16-4 straight up. Montreal is a home favorite in the month of June. I like that. 9-1 to the under, as Kirk Cousin would say.
You like that? You like that?
I do like that. Saskatchewan as a home as a favorite versus Hamilton lifetime. Wow. Holy cow, that deserves a Harry Carey.
Holy cow!
I know it's baseball, but 23-4. Saskatchewan is a favorite versus the Tigercats, 23-4 straight up. And let's take a look at some of the system trends. When the Saskatchewan Roughriders are a home team versus Hamilton, and they allowed 30 points or less against last game, 14-1 against the number. And let me see here. Do I got Winnipeg as a home favorite after a non-division game playing on Friday Night Football, 27-6 straight up. And let me see here. Winnipeg as a home team versus the BC Lions on Fridays, 8-2 to the under. So if you like that, there's an under trend right there. And Toronto Argonauts as a home favorite versus non-division opponents on Saturdays, 17-4 straight up, but 11-10 against the number. And that's where we're going. We're going Edmonton plus the number. And let me see if we can finish on a high note here. Yeah, we got some good Toronto stats for Toronto people, the Argonaut fans. Anytime Toronto's a favorite, last 10 years playing with 1 over or less, 10-0 straight up in their next game. All right, guys, that's the CFL Football Show for week number 3 of the Canadian Football League. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the information. And yeah, it's the CFL. You know what? Not a lot of handicappers or sports sites carry the Canadian Football League. We do. I take a lot of pride in it. I grew up in Canada. I grew up in Ottawa, so I'm a big CFL football fan, and I also coach football. So I would, you know, it's just natural for me to talk about the CFL and pump those tires, because the one thing the CFL doesn't get is a lot of media attention, obviously down south. But if you ever get a chance to watch a Canadian Football League game, it's you just watch it. I just told you guys, like, if you look at week number 2, look at the point differentials between the games. 23-19, 4 points. Then you got 26-17, that's 9 points. 23-20, 3 points, and 33-30, 3 points. So the CFL games are very close. Great, and you know what? It's wide open this year. There's not one team that is very dominant. Even Winnipeg, which is the last couple of years had like 13-3 records, 14-2 or whatever. But I think it's wide open this year, and and they always say in the CFL, right? It really starts when Labor Day comes. That's when the CFL really gets going. But enjoy the CFL football in week number 3. I'll be back next week with the CFL Football Show. I'm your host, Ron Raymond, and you can always find me here at atsstats.com. Have a good one, and we'll see you back next week.